Hello there, everyone. Patricia here, and super excited because this is a celebratory video that I almost didn't make because I wasn't keeping up. And we are celebrating 60 plus days of doing videos daily. And I'm super excited about that. I want to share kind of my insights, thus far on that and kind of where I'm going next. And before we get started on that, please remember to press the thumbs up button and or to subscribe so that we can share this content out with other people and really get it activated again on this channel. Okay, so here's the thing. First of all, I'm having to come back to do my, my wins video because my electronics did not love me when I first recorded this. And I recorded it, and there was not a drop of sound coming out of anything. And I was like, you kidding me? You're kidding me, right? It was that kind of day, y'all. Like literally any electronic that I touched did not want to cooperate at all. So I had to, step aside and let it be. That's a different video about stepping aside and letting it be and just going and doing something completely non-electronic other than like flipping on a TV or something like that. So we are live and going, all connected up. And because I really do want to share about doing 60 plus videos in a row. And so here's how this came to be because I'm just pressing along and I'm trying to get a little bit ahead on where I'm going because I've got some things in the works for the next few days and weeks. And then I know for sure mid month next month, I'm traveling for a graduation out of state. So I want to be well situated and making sure that I'm going along as I planned. And that is because I decided to participate in this 90-day challenge that another influencer creator has put out there from work that she had done. And I'm like, I can do that. I've been wanting to restart and revive my video content. And so this sounded like a great way to do it. And you can go check out my previous videos where I talk about that. And when I got to the 30-day mark, like when I got started and the 30-day mark, and I'll link those in. Anyway, so it's in the context of setting up and thinking about that I'm like, wait, how far along am I? Because I should be getting close to the end. So then here I am pulling out my handy dandy calendar and counting days. Well, actually, first I pulled out I went to my YouTube channel and literally hand counted the videos since I started. And sure enough, I'm at 60 plus. So I think I've got a couple of extras more in there. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is one of those benchmarks. And because it means that I'm 2/3 of the way through my original goal. So then I go, and of course, I pull out the calendar and I do the counting to see how many more days I have left. And so I'm like totally stoked, psyched, ready to go, and just ready to dive in. And one of the things I always like to do when these benchmark time periods is take a step back and look and see what were the challenges that were at play when trying to get to this point, and then some of the maybe pleasantries or surprises that I've had before jumping ahead to to what's next. And I will say that during this second window of time, the challenge definitely was me getting sick in there because that threw me off of my daily schedule because I was definitely doing daily again to do the extra, to exercise the muscle and get back in the swing of things because I had not been recording live over an extended period of times for a while. I would do things hit or miss or whatever. So that I definitely agreed with this creator about making sure to lock in on that. And then because I do have experience, I mean, hello, if you go check out my uh, Coffee Time Career Chat library, it's like 8 or 9 years worth of content up in there. So it's a lot. It's a lot of content. So I know how to do content on a consistent basis over time. It just was not as concentrated, right? I was up to those like two or three times a week, depending if I was doing some extra specials or something like that. So I definitely knew how to do that. But again, I had not been doing it regularly for a while. So I was like, let me get back in the swing of things on that. And then once I felt like I was back in the swing of things on that, especially once I got sick, I was like, I need to double up a couple of these so that I can give myself a break. And so that's what I was doing, where I would record a couple of videos, and then so I could have like a 24-hour time period to like literally have a break and try to get better and something like that. So that was one of the things. And then, there was some more like just drag. It's like it just kept, piling on. And I talked about that the other day in my video about the slow, what is it, the slow return to daily consistency, because I was like, what is this really all about? Because that was happening though, not just in my video content, but like just across the board. So knowing that I had been, prioritizing this work because of the challenge that I was engaged in for myself, as what and the long-term goals associated with it. So I honestly did not know. I was like, I know I'm a little bit behind where I would be if I was doing, just strictly by the calendar. But perfectionist Patricia has, worked through some things over the years and learned not to stress over that, but as much as it is to continue and keep going, which is what I did. So that's part of the reason why I really didn't know what number or where I was, because I know it didn't line up with the calendar anymore because of the days that I missed in there while I was sick. So, all that said and done, one of the other things is just uh, being able to rest my voice enough to let it heal, not just from being sick, but there was just some, things going on. And I think it was from, getting back in the swing of things, and trying not to push myself too much in that realm, because that only makes it worse, right? So, and I have a dear friend who is a voice coach and uh, not pathologist. What is that? I forget the word, but anyway, she works in that area, and she would definitely be like, ting, 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 Trisha. So I'm trying not to have, DMs from my dear friend who would chastise me for pushing too much on the vocal front. So that said, those were a couple of the probably the biggest challenges over that second time period, that second 30 days. And a couple of times where I just was like, I have no idea what I'm gonna talk about today. Now, do I have things to talk about? Of course I do, all the time. But I also still have a nasty habit of self-editing. So sometimes I don't capture the idea or the thought fast enough, and so that's one of the things that I still need to get better about, which is going ahead. I mean, I keep a running list of potential topics and thoughts and things like that to dive into, not so much to script them, it's not, but it's definitely to remind myself, like, you always have something. There's always something to share that you've learned, that about myself, that I've experienced in working with others, whatever. There's always something. And so keeping that running list is just a reminder of that. And if I can actually, pick from it, that's fantastic. So that helps for those days when I don't have something fresh for that particular day. But let's say I want to make sure that I'm, I don't want to say staying relevant, but staying relevant with things that, that um, caught my attention or that came forth from me, and you know I will be able to discuss authentically because I'm not forcing it. That's what I'm getting to. Okay. So that said, some of the great things is number one, making it to that, because again, I have done this for years. And it's also a reason why I took a break from making fresh content starting a couple of years ago, where I started weaning back off, from how much I was putting out, because I didn't realize how prolific I was. And then, like, well, no wonder you're feeling a little burnt out. So to get back to this level and to know that, number one, yes, hello, you still got it. And number two, that um, it can be reinstated, right? Like I can, feel alive again and doing the work and then having the conversations and putting in the discipline of, doing the work every day. Because like Glow, that's woman who has the challenge, Glow Autonomo, says it's like there's a huge percentage of people who do not do this, who will not do it. And I have to remind myself of that. I'm not doing what everyone else does because not a lot of people do this. They don't want to talk, much less talk on camera seemingly to themselves in order to push forward with whatever goal that they have. So that's a reminder, right? It's like a reminder to myself that, like, hey, you are still winning every day that you do this, because in at the end of this 90 days, I will have 90 fresh videos that had not been made, and which is honestly almost as much as I would have done doing fresh videos over the course of a year in my coffee chat series when I was doing those twice a week, right? Twice a week, 52 weeks. I wasn't always doing it. So I'm already going to be at that number. That is mind boggling to me that I am more than halfway there already with the 60 plus count. So that's exciting. And it makes me very happy. It makes me happy because while it might not seem like much to someone else, it means a lot to me, in continuing to share my voice, develop my voice, and to share content that, uh, not just is validating, but is relevant to people's lives today. I mean, there's nothing like recording and something that came to me because of something I observed or that struck me, only to have someone that I know personally come to me like with this whole issue, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I literally just recorded something on that, and they're like, please send it to me, right? Like that's the power of this. And so doing this on video is a step towards me doing it in writing as well, for a whole nother level. So this is a part of the plan, right? And the plan is working. And I'm excited about that. Now, when it comes to the whole, well, what are you going to do next? And I'm like, well, next, I'm going to finish this route. So, in the next 30 days, I will be finished because I do want to stay relatively on time in honoring that completion time period. And so I can still definitely do that and not having lost too much time in there. So that makes me happy. And and beyond that, I don't know yet. I don't know that I even have a desire to continue to do it daily. Will I continue to build up the channel on a regular, consistent basis? Absolutely. I am back in my video mode. So 2 or 3 times a week, I could definitely see, especially considering that I've given myself permission to be more relaxed. I'm not sitting behind my desk. there will be a few where I do that, especially when I have, let's say when I get back to having some guests on, when I get into a really deep like master class or workshop, I do want that to be a little more structured and feeling, and that's for me, right? And how I deliver, because I will be using that content for other things as well. But for the daily coming in, sharing my thoughts, what have I learned this week about myself, about leadership, about about growth, about uh, empowering myself and others, and about self care, like all of those things. I definitely want to continue having those conversations. I just don't know how long that will be. And maybe as I get closer, I'll have a better idea of it, and maybe I won't. I have no idea. But I do know right now that I am super excited. I am well pleased that I've gotten to this point in the challenge and in the efforts. And I'm looking forward to completing the first 90 days here soon, and then we will figure out what's next. And just a reminder for yourself as you're setting goals, as you're dreaming big, it's like, this is your dream, this is your goal. You get to set the direction. You get to pivot. You get to be flexible. You get to do all the things, because it's yours. And that's the reminder to you today. So, whatever it is, make sure that you acknowledge this, the accomplishment, and then celebrate yourself. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in another video. And yay, continue to celebrate who you are and all the things that you do, whether big or small, because they're all worth it, and you are absolutely worth it as well. All right. So take care. We will catch up with you again tomorrow. And until then, don't forget to hit thumbs up and to subscribe. Peace out. See you later. Bye.